Hello guys, Sidewinder again. So, which, as you should already know, I guess, because you watch my channel. So, today I'm going to be taking out the Matilda, the Queen of the Desert, the Matilda Mark II, the Matilda II, the Waltzing Matilda. Well, any name that says waltzing in it, either the tank's going to be really fast, really maneuverable, or it's a cruel joke. With this tank, it's the cruel joke for the waltzing part, but... So, anyway, this is the Matilda Mark II. It's a heavy infantry tank, and it's armed with a 40mm gun, a hydraulic turret, a 3-man turret, which is a big improvement over like the Tier 1 infantry tank, the early Valentine. But it's really slow. Now, granted, the Valentine is just as slow. Like, all 3 different models of the Valentine are just as slow. But this one has a lot higher of a profile to it. And it does have, like, really, really heavy armor for its tier. And for the rear of the tank, even heavy armor for, like, later on, like in later tiers. But if you want to use it, you better hope that the spawn point's close to the battlefield, like really close, or you're on an urban map, because look how slow this thing is. If you look at the map, we haven't traveled that far at all from from our spawn point. It's already 2 minutes in, actually 2 minutes and 20 seconds in. So the Matilda's main gun is the basic gun for the British Tier 1. But this tank, due to its heavy armor, is at Tier 2. Which, yeah, I'm fine with. But the gun itself is... It's no bueno. It's not good. So... like, at this tier, I should say. But... this tank, it can't, like, the gun is so, like, small, and the armor's so thick, that 2 Matildas will have trouble killing each other, like, at all. But, anyway, if you look, like, right where my tank's looking, that's the Valentine. The Valentine actually replaced the Matilda in, combat, in frontline service, I should say. But, anyway, the Valentine, not the Valentine, the Matilda was actually, like, in 1940s, 1941, was actually feared quite a bit by the Germans due to just the heavy armor on the turret and this heavy armor on the sides. It was well respected by the Germans for its heavy armor. But the Germans in, like, during the Battle of Dunkirk and stuff like that, they didn't have, well, actually, not during Dunkirk itself, but, like, around that time, like, when the Blitzkrieg was happening, like, in the early, like, 1940s, and the British sent their expeditionary unit to try to, like, stop the Germans and save France. It didn't work, but, so, at that time, the Germans really didn't have anything that could take out the Matilda that well. Because the heavily armored turret, the heavily armored side, all that stuff, they couldn't penetrate it because most of their tanks were Panzer IIs and 1s and 2s, I should say. That sounds more phonetically correct. But Rommel came to the idea that, hey, let's level out our World War II oh my goodness, our World War I 88mm guns for shooting that we used to shoot down aircraft, and let's fire them at these tanks and see what happens. So they only had flak shot, they didn't have anti-tank shot or anything like that, but it'd take them out every single time. That was the best weapon they had to take out Matildas at that time. So that's why the Germans started using the 88s, because they found out they were such an amazing anti-tank gun. So isn't it sad that 5 minutes and 30 seconds into the video, I haven't killed anybody, haven't even seen an enemy tank, just trying to drive, and I've only gotten, if you look down on the map on there, I've only gotten that far away from the spawn point. That is depressing. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about doctrine that the British had when it came to infantry tanks. They wanted a slow tank so infantry could keep up with it. They wanted heavy armor because they wanted it to just soak up shots and defend and protect infantry. And they really didn't care about the gun because it wasn't meant to be fighting other tanks. It was just more or less for something to shoot and keep other stuff away, you know. It was more or less it was. I'm not gonna say a last resort, but kind of just it's there, you know. So this tank is very slow, but for a reason. So let's continue talking about the Matilda in combat-wise. So it's known as the Queen of the Desert because historically they say it performed very well in the desert. But it performed well for an infantry tank in the desert because it's a slow tank, but it's so heavy that it sinks right into the sand and makes it even slower. So for its role as an infantry tank, that's kind of good. And its heavy armor, that was good because same thing as what's happening in France. The Germans didn't really have the gun that could take it out other than the 88. So those two factors kind of added on to the Queen of the Desert name. But I kind of think that was kind of a little bit like a joke, the Queen of the Desert, because if you try to use it on a desert map, it doesn't perform all that well. So this tank is I don't know whether to say it's a good tank or a bad tank, because it's kind of both all at the same time. It has good armor. If you look at my tank, I've taken multiple shots and it's done nothing to my tank. But if you look at the speed of it, and if you look at the gun on it, it's not that good. So it's kind of a good thing that it's at early tier 2, so you will still fight tier 1s, but it's also good that it's not at tier 1, so it won't be completely overpowered or overpower any other tier 1 tanks. So tier 2 is a good fit for it. But again, that gun at tier 2, it's not a good thing, especially on a heavy tank. But that's almost the thing that makes this tank drivable in a way, even though it's really slow, because it makes up for it in a really fast firing gun. Yes, the gun isn't that good at all, but it's really fast firing. So yeah, this is the same gun that's on the Techarch and the Crusader Mark 1 and the reserve tier British tank, which I absolutely have no clue what it's called. It's called a T, or not T, it's called an AC or something like that, but honestly I have no idea what it's called. But this tank would have benefited from the upgrade that they did on the Valentines. On the Valentines, they later added 57mm gun, and they added a 75mm gun to some models. This tank would have been more efficient, but this tank got replaced in British service, or frontline service I should say, because there was just so much materials involved in producing it that it was just cheaper to make the Valentines, because Valentines were the exact same way. But as you can see here, I can't do anything to this not Valentine, Matilda that I'm shooting at. So, yeah. But this Matilda damaged my turret ring. But I think I'm getting hit by something else though. Yeah. Well, there's an armored car right there that's trying to knock me out, but armored cars can do absolutely nothing to Matilda. It's not really a thing. So I believe I keep trying to engage that other Matilda, but really, both of our tanks just like give up because we know that we can't really do anything that much to each other. So I go after these armored cars, and turns out there's actually 2 of the armored cars, which is very sad, but yeah. So there's that one that's moving up. And see, the 50 cals look like they're really like crazy, but they're really not. Honestly, I have no idea how a 50 cal like even like hurt anybody in the tank. But see, I hit that, but it ricochets off because it's only a 40 millimeter. So, like, armored cars at tier 2 are only a pain in the butt when you're in a heavy tank. But at tier 1, these things are devastating just because if you look at it, look how crazy that is. 50 cals are amazing at tier 1. But these things are just a pain in the butt. Like, they really are. There's 2 of these just like going around in a circle shooting at me. So I managed to get this one. Well, I hit it. So they're just trying to get like hit so they can get spawn points. That's what it is. But I killed that one's transmission, so that one's good as dead. But there's bombs going off and it's just wild and crazy. Like that tank or that armored car back there just left. This one I'm gonna take out because I'm sick and tired of it, and it stopped because I destroyed its transmission. See, got it. So those 50s, they did a number on my tank. I don't know why they did, but they did. Like, just look at all that yellow and there's some red there, but oh well. So I'm going to keep pushing. So the Cromwell, or not, I said Cromwell, wow. I said Valentine, oh my goodness. The Matilda was also used by the Germans, and they liked it, but that's for another day. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, anything like that. Feel free to request a tank that you want me to see me take out. And thanks again for watching. So I believe we win. Yeah, we win this round. I get 3rd on the team. Alright, no. And thanks for watching.